Welcome back to the channel, my Path of Exile players. The next league of Path of Exile 1, 3.26, Secrets of the Atlas is almost upon us. Preemptively, I'd like to start us warming up to the start of the new league with this very first build that I'm bringing to your attention. It is one of my favorite builds, the ones that I played 3 years ago, and it is a Spectral Shield Throw Bleed Gladiator. It can be played in 2 different ways, it can be built in 2 different ways. It's a wonderful build because it can be fully solo self-found, it practically costs nothing. Of course, if you want to push Atlas and push deeper into the end game, of course it requires some kind of investment, but you can pretty much do so self-found. And if you're sick of playing the same, I don't know, Summon Raging Spirits or Toxic Rain or something basic like, I don't know, other builds that you've been playing so far, maybe now is the chance to switch and to play something new. Did I convince you? Okay, let me tell you about how to build this build, and of course you see my updated POB in the description of this video, as always. Alright, so originally 3 years ago I pushed this to about level 75, which is not very far, but it certainly was time proven on the end game maps. So you can definitely get into the end game with this. Yes, the time has passed, yes, things have moved on, and yes, even the SST itself, the Spectral Shield Throw, has been nerfed at one point, but then I'm pretty sure it bounced back. Plus, if you don't like SST, this exact build can be played with Shattering Steel. So just use Shattering Steel that you will use for early leveling. If SST somehow doesn't sit right with you and you have a much better one-hand weapon that obviously the damage of the Shattering Steel is scaling from, as opposed to a good shield with high stats there that obviously the SST is scaling from, you can easily switch one build. Basically, just with a weapon choice and just with a skill choice, you can switch this build around very, very easily. Alright, this build is focused on building up physical damage over time component, and bleeds. It applies multiple bleeds, and it is not about causing critical strikes, it is not about causing bleeds while the enemies are moving, it is about flat kind of damage, that compounding effect of that damage, of multiplicative effect of damage over time, multipliers, we will be increasing them, and we will be just basically applying multiple instances of bleed effect on the targets. That's kind of how we go. As far as defensive layers are concerned here, it is going to be an evasion-based character and shield block-based character. We're going to be blocking a ton. We're obviously going to be capping elemental resistances. That is a DA, it goes without saying, you need to always do this. And our health regen is going to be massive. The biggest difference of this particular build, my version of this build that I'm offering you, is the fact that I'm removing mana. I'm running Blood Magic. Blood Magic gives you plus 10% of health on top of any other boosts, as well as all of your kind of effects that are regenerating your life, that we are going to be picking pretty much every substantial node on the passive skill tree that regenerates life. That's what's going to keep you alive, and that's what's going to feed your abilities. At least that's how I play. You tell me if you prefer to run with mana. Of course, you can run a mana-based version, but then you will need something like Praxis Ring or something like this that recoups mana really, really effectively. Otherwise, you will be mana-starved. It's not pleasant. Until you get Blood Magic, basically, that you can get if you are lucky enough to have a fairly cheap or fairly commonly dropping unique called Malachi Simula. It's an iron mask. It will give you blood magic for free straight away, but it's not otherwise very useful piece of equipment, right? So you can do it early, or there is obviously blood magic keynote kind of key point on the passive skill tree. But before you get it, I reckon you will be struggling with mana and drinking from your mana bottle quite a lot. So that's one thing to be aware of. I'm well aware of it, no problem with that. Once you probably buy from the market or were lucky enough to get 6 linked sockets, tabula rasa, or any other 6 linked sockets chest, you will be using Spectral Shield Throw, Swift Affliction, faster attacks, unbound ailments, chance to bleed, and vicious projectiles. At the very least, these 6 kind of supports and the main skill have worked really, really well for me. For movement, you are going to be using Shield Crush. Shield Crush can be used for early leveling because small kind of early game enemies are going to be just all crushed by Shield Crush, no pun intended, but it obviously is insufficient. So for damage while leveling, you will be relying on Shattering Steel. which is going to be given to you pretty early on. It does good damage. Like I said to you, the whole build can stay Shattering Steel. If for some reason you don't like SST, you don't want to do Spectral Shield Throw at level 28. You could also use Leap Slam. Leap Slam will allow you to jump onto tops of the ledges and kind of help you traverse the maps a little bit better. That Shield Crush obviously cannot do. You may bother with it, you may not. Kind of this time around when I'm trying to restart this build and try to revive it for you for this League 3.26, the Secrets of the Atlas, I didn't bother with Leap Slam. Alright, what else is there to say, my friends? For the defensive, so of course when we are starting to rely on our health as opposed to health and mana, once we take Blood Magic, any aura reservations and stuff are going to be taken from your life. So you need to be kind of careful there, which is why I do not think you can run Determination, I do not think you can run Grace, unless you are opting into that extra support gem, that name of which I forgot, completely blanking out right now, and I'm talking off the cuff, I'm not scripting this. It is the one that allows you to stick to one aura, but it has no reservation then. But you can have only one aura. So if you choose to do that, of course you may choose to run something that boosts your defensive, such as Grace. Or you could run something different. You could run something that is going to be increasing your damage over time. For example, Malevolence. I would run Malevolence in this case rather than defensives. I would rely on my just naturally built-in shield block and just pray to dear Lord that nothing hits me. That's kind of how I would play, and I would simply try to kill them before they kill me, because it's a nice ranged build and you have pretty nice defensive simply built into it. You are very beefy. It's a really good kind of solid chunky build. You tell me in the comments down below if you play it differently or build it differently. Maybe I'm missing something. Probably I do. I never pretend to be an expert. I never do. For the Ascendancy, of course, I'm using Gladiator Ascendancy, and I'm gonna overlay here the old fragment of the old video from 3 years ago, where I have shown to you exactly what Gladiator Ascendancy nodes and in which order I have taken in the past, and that's what I recommend currently. But once the league launches, again, especially if there is interest in this build, please don't expect me to be a mind reader. Talk to me in the comments down below and tell me that you're interested, and I will revisit this once we actually hit properly the ground running with all the particulars of the league that has not been announced yet. Final word, for the gods, I am always running with Solaris and with Ralakesh to help me with damage over time. Sometimes I run with Arakali and Ralakesh, because these builds are susceptible to damage over time, corrupted blood, poisons, that kind of stuff. Because if some enemy hits you and that one big massive hit passes through your defenses and just one-shots you, well, you just respawn and you would have to restart. I would rather have that than die to annoying bleeds and damage over time effects. That me personally. Tell me if you've enjoyed this. Take the string to import. It is, I never am too proud of my POB. Before you criticize my POBs, I'm never too proud of them. I'm only trying to guide you through the basic passive skill tree and maybe basic skills, how I basically cluster those skills together, what goes for defensive cluster, what goes for offensive cluster, and that kind of stuff. So stick around. Path of Exile content is going to be revived massively on this channel. It has been dormant because there hasn't been any new league for a very long time in Path of Exile 1, but we are hopefully on the brink of new dawn. I'm very excited about the new league coming. Stick around, there'll be more suggested league starter builds coming up, not just this one. I'm going to be reviving a lot of old-time favorites from my channel, but making them specifically relevant for 2025 and 3.26 league. Thanks for watching. See you next time.